They were just tourists, adventurers chasing beauty, animals, or dreams in faraway places. Before we continue, please take some time to subscribe to Daily Dose, like, and share this video. But what began as innocent travel quickly turned into some of the most terrifying moments of their lives brushes with death that would be etched in their memories forever. It started in Tanzania. An American tourist found himself on the back roads of a remote safari, snapping photos of majestic wildlife through the safety of his open-top Jeep. Or so he thought. Without warning, a cheetah wild, muscular, lightning-fast predator leapt silently into the back seat, not beside the vehicle, not on the hood, into the actual seat behind him. His heart froze. His breath caught. He didn't dare move. He'd always heard that with big cats, stillness is survival. The safari guide whispered, "Do not move a muscle." The American sat there, locked in a silent standoff with one of the most dangerous animals in Africa. But just when he thought it couldn't get worse, another cheetah appeared, and this one joined the first in climbing into the vehicle. Now there were two of them, just feet away, their golden eyes scanning, their lean bodies shifting, their tails flicking. The man thought he would pass out from the fear. Would they pounce? Claw? Bite? But against all odds, the cheetahs only sniffed around, explored briefly, and then almost casually left, as if they'd simply been curious. He survived, unscathed. But the fear never left him. Across the continent, in 2019, Kristen Yaldor's story took a far more violent turn. She and her husband Ryan were on another African safari, floating peacefully in a canoe downriver. But under the surface, something stirred, something massive. Then, without warning, the canoe launched into the air by a sudden force from below. Ryan fell forward into the water. Kristen was yanked down by her leg. Then she felt it, the terrifying grip of one of nature's most violent Killersa hippopotamus. It had her thigh in its mouth. The beast thrashed its head side to side, dragging Kristen beneath the surface. It wasn't a bite tight, it was a death roll. Her muscles tore. Her skin ripped open. She felt the rough, leathery texture of its jaws, the strange, coarse hairs brushing her hands as she tried desperately, wildly, to pry it off. Somehow, impossibly, it released her. Bleeding, in shock, she floated to the surface. "I could see my muscle," she later said. "It was hanging out of my leg." She screamed to the shoreline, barely able to tread water. "I need help! I can't swim! Please!" But help was far away. A 12-hour journey began, a grueling, painful race to the nearest hospital, with every bump in the road a scream. It was her birthday. A kind paramedic sang "Happy Birthday" through tears just to keep her awake. Kristen survived, though doctors had to remove a chunk of muscle from her thigh. "Definitely a birthday I'll never forget," she said. But the dangers weren't just in the wild. In Mexico, Aaron and Logan thought they were chasing birds, not bullets. They'd driven nearly 30 miles from Indiana to Cancun with cameras in hand, hoping to spot rare birds in quiet countryside villages. What they didn't expect was to find themselves staring down the barrel of an assault rifle. They were on a dirt road, far from any marked trail, when a truck came barreling past and skidded to a stop. Armed men jumped out. The camera footage is shaky, frantic. "Go, go, go!" one of the tourists screamed, panic flooding his voice. "No, no, 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 please," the other begged. "Please, don't kill us." Aaron tried to speak to the gunman. "No, Espanol," he stammered. "We just want to see birds." Surprisingly, the gunman didn't shoot. One of them even said in broken English, "You need to leave. There are others ahead. Bad people. Go now." The warning shook them to their core. Were they spared, or simply warned away from something even worse? They never found out who those gunmen were. Civilians? Cartel scouts? Paramilitary? The mystery lingers to this day. What's certain is the footage went viral 2 years later, and neither man has gone birdwatching since. Jennifer and Frank Masabki were just scouting wedding locations in Mexico, but what they got was a nightmare. They traveled to a picturesque site an hour outside Mexico City. Just when the trip seemed perfect bang, they were rear-ended in the middle of a highway. Before Frank could even step out, 4 men attacked. One shoved a gun into his face. Another slammed him into the car. They were kidnapped, thrown into the back seat, bound with shoelaces. Frank was beaten every time he spoke. Jennifer targeted in the worst possible way. She fought off 3 attempts at sexual assault, even grabbing one of the attacker's guns. "My hand was cemented to it," she said. "I wasn't letting go." But a punch to the face broke her nose and ended the struggle. Then, the moment of escape. In a split-second decision, they bolted running through dirt and brush until, by sheer luck, they found help. This picture, snapped at a local police station, shows the couple right after surviving the ordeal. They eventually married at home in Miami, but the scarce emotional and physical still linger. And then there was Cindy Granwell, 72 years old, visiting New York City with her daughters to see a Broadway play. Bunny Girl was supposed to be the highlight of their trip, but just minutes after stepping off the train, they were targeted. A man followed them, harassed them. They tried to ignore him, and then, out of nowhere, he stuck out a leg. Cindy fell hard face first onto the concrete. "I didn't even catch myself," she said. "Just boom. Teeth first." Her face was bloodied, her front teeth shattered, her mouth torn from the sharp bone fragments. She cried out, dazed, in pain. Her daughters helped her up, but nothing could undo the damage. Still, she made it to the show. "I doubt I'll ever return to New York," she later said. While Cindy's fall was captured on surveillance footage and eventually shared by the media, the man who tripped her casually walked away. No apology, no arrest, no accountability. Just a tourist left battered on the sidewalk in a city that had welcomed her hours earlier with bright lights and big dreams. Travel, people say, opens the heart. But these moments prove that sometimes it can tear it wide open in fear. These weren't naive travelers. They had done their research, followed guides, and stuck to itineraries. But danger doesn't follow rules and often hides in places no one expects, on scenic trails, in sunlit streets, even inside a peaceful canoe drifting downriver. The most haunting part? Each story had a moment where time froze, where the victims realized they were no longer in control of what was happening. For the tourist with the cheetah, it was when the second cat leapt into the Jeep. For Kristen, it was the terrifying moment underwater when she understood the hippo wasn't letting go. For the birdwatchers, it was when the guns appeared. For Jennifer and Frank, it was the moment the shoelace was tightened around their wrists. And for Cindy, it was the split second her face smashed into the sidewalk. But despite the trauma, all of them survived. They didn't just make it through, they endured. With grit, with luck, with a fierce will to live. Take Jennifer, for example. She fought tooth and nail to keep herself from being assaulted. Her broken nose wasn't a sign of weakness, it was proof of resistance, that she refused to be a passive victim. That, in a moment of pure terror, she held onto a weapon and said, "Not today." Or Kristen bleeding from the thigh, muscle torn, and still managing to float, to scream, to survive a creature that kills more people in Africa than lions, leopards, and cheetahs combined. Or Aaron and Logan navigating a conversation with armed men in a foreign language, somehow de-escalating a deadly encounter through courage and calm. Or Cindy battered, but determined to still see the Broadway play she had traveled hundreds of miles to attend. Her daughter later said, "She wouldn't let it ruin the trip. That kind of resilience can't be bought or faked. It's built." What makes these stories even more chilling is how quickly each situation turned dangerous. One moment you're photographing birds, the next you're looking down a barrel. One moment you're planning a wedding, the next you're gagged in the back of a car. Life doesn't always give warnings, and sometimes the bad guys look just like everyone else. Sometimes they are everyone else. And it's not just about survival. It's about what happens after, the sleepless nights, the trauma, the anxiety. Kristen later said that even bathtubs made her nervous after the hippo attack. Jennifer had to work through flashbacks. Cindy? She still avoids crowded streets, and the birdwatchers who had chased peace in nature now hesitated to take road trips. It leaves a mark. Still, there's beauty in what they chose to do next. Jennifer and Frank didn't cancel their wedding. They brought it home. Turned the tragedy into something they could control. Aaron and Logan went public with their story to warn others and shine light on what travelers can face far from home. Kristen shared her horrifying hippo story to raise awareness and teach others what to watch out for. And Cindy? She showed that even at 72, you can take a hit, get back up, and smile anyway. These aren't just travel stories. They're testaments to human spirit, survival, and the unpredictable nature of the world we live in. So the next time you book a trip, remember, adventure comes with a cost. But courage? That's free and priceless. And if you ever see a cheetah in your back seat, freeze. Even though each of these stories happened years ago, their echoes still ripple through the lives of those involved and serve as lessons for the rest of us.